Hey, what's up, y'all? I look, I got a message. Um, I was just contemplating on something, right? About the whole like animosity of the 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 Caucasian and the African American or the black person or black people, right? And how it all got started, right? Okay, so I got information about what was what, like as far as the Caucasian from the Caucasus Mountain, right? They were created by certain entities, individuals, a long time ago. And these entities are fallen angels, okay? Um, and these individuals, right? Hold on real quick, y'all. Okay, I'm back. Now, these fallen angels were wearing brown or black skins, right? As far as their form, their human body form, right? These spirits or these fallen angels were inhabiting brown skin or black people, okay? Now, when they created these individuals, who we refer to as Caucasians, um, in the past, okay, this is very, very ancient knowledge that I came across, and I'm not sure if I should even should I mention, okay, the name of the person who I did get this information from um goes by the name of Dread. um I will, is it okay to link her? Okay, I will link her, one of her videos, in the comment section, just in case y'all wanted more like knowledge. She's very knowledgeable person, all right, very knowledgeable. um And this is where I learned, that these fallen these fallen ones, or these beings that, they had very negative mindsets, okay? All right, because their whole purpose of wanting to create them was to try to make them to be their slaves. All right, they did not go to Father God. They did not ask for permission to even create any persons or beings, right? So they did this. They went rogue, okay, and they did this on their own, and without any permission or guidance or any of that, right? And from my from what I'm understanding, like these Caucasians that had to be subjected to this shit, right? They have a lot of animosity built up inside of them for that reason. They were in these caves, and there's no telling what type of circumstances they had to go through in those states of being, right? Somehow they got free from out of there. And when they get free from out of there, they're climbing from the mountains and they see these black people. All they can think of is the black people that created them, that had them living horribly, right? Or ain't no telling what they were doing to them. They could have been torturing them, all kind of things. Ain't no telling, right? And matter of fact, hold on, let me get some information real quick, y'all. Were they being tortured? Okay, yeah, they were being tortured in those mountains. Okay, so they had a lot of animosity built within them. So when they see black people, they thought we were all the same. Okay, so that's what started the them wanting to make us slaves, because they think that we all are like the four black individuals, right? They think they thought we were all like them, okay? They thought we were all in on it, okay? And the ancestors that had to be subjected to being brutally tortured and put in slave trade, their ancestors of them, because it went on for some generations, right? Had no idea, right, that they were even like they had no idea who the Caucasians were. They had no idea how they came about, who created them, how their life was. They had no idea, right? So they're completely innocent to the fact of what happened to the Caucasian. Okay? So they're taking out their anger on all the black people, thinking that all of them are the same. Okay? And then that takes me to a saying that I've heard so many times where it says all skin folk ain't your kinfolk, right? And it's like it's saying that just because don't judge a book by its cover. Just because we're all black doesn't mean we all have the same mindset or the same consciousness, right? Because those four individuals had very negative consciousness, right? They had a very sick, twisted, negative, negatively selfish, okay, mindset, okay? And the black people that they went and tortured did not even have the same mindset. Like they wouldn't even think to create a person to make them a slave. Like they wouldn't, think to go into a mountain, they don't even know the first steps of creating a person, right? But these fallen angels knew how to create people because they've been around the Most High. They've learned things from the Most High. They've learned things from God. They've learned secret knowledges and how to create beings, right? But these Caucasians did not know that, right? They thought we were all the same. Like, okay, it's a black person that's them. That's all of them is the same. Okay, so that happened. We the slavery of the black and brown and the mistreatment, mutilations, and all of these things of the black and brown beings due to four individuals that were fucked up that looked like us, right? Then we take that, okay, that animosity and hate is still in a way has been carried into the present tense or the near or the recent past tense, right? Because I'm calling for this to end, but we're gonna say the past tense, okay, the near past tense. That's what I'm gonna say it as because I'm calling for this to be an end to this. But anyway, so the DNA, right, carries memory. That's been scientifically proven. The DNA carries memory, right? So even if some of these Caucasians don't know the full story of what happened, their DNA activates certain triggers that makes them still look at us as the enemy or as bad or as wrong or as not right, whatever, right? And so they have this animosity, and some of them probably don't even know where it's coming from, but it's a DNA. It's a DNA defect, or sickness that comes from this harbored animosity, right? And they're taking it out on innocent people because their DNA is still structured to think all the black people are bad, all the black people are this or that, right? Then we have to put in the account that the innocent black people that died at the hands of being wrongfully accused, their DNA also holds something. Even if this black person doesn't themselves consciously understand why they harbor animosity, it's carried in the DNA of also the black person, because then the black person's DNA codes pick up from their ancient ancestors that were tortured and harmed, right? So now there's an animosity, and some people don't know where it's coming from. Some people know a little bit, but don't know the depth of how deep it is and what it all means, right? So it's just a bunch of hurt DNA activations that are activated that need to be deactivated and removed and cleansed. Okay? Because I was also thinking about how, like, growing up as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult, how I could see people who look like me, right? They have brown skin or dark skin or medium brown skin, whatever, right? And it'd be someone I've never seen until that moment, walking down the street, going to a store, going to a school, wherever, right? And they would look at me with so much hate, and I'll be like, what does this mean? As a child, as a teenager, young adult, it always baffled me, because I was like, why they look at me like that? What did I do to them? I don't even know who this is, right? Then as I got older and you start learning things about past lives and all this, and then I'm like, well, maybe past life, we knew each other, but it still baffled me, because it's like when I recognize them, because usually from what I've been taught, like if you see someone from your past life, you're gonna have immediate connection. You're gonna, even if you don't know who they are, you're gonna have like this sense of like, I've known you before. But these people, I didn't have this sense of like that, right? But now it's making sense, because I'm looking at it from this perspective of the DNA codes, right? So this black person might be picking up on, it could be some Caucasian blood within me, right? That's activated, that they sense, right? Unbeknownst to me, right? And this DNA that they are sensing, they might not even know what it is, right? But they just know they don't like it, right? Because their DNA is remembering when this Caucasian tortured their people, right? And vice versa, right? It could be a Caucasian DNA activation within them that is triggered by my African American DNA that's activated, that they're sensing, and then it's bringing their DNA to remembrance of what happened to them in the mountains, right? So now there's an animosity, all due to the DNA, right? All due to these screwed up codes that it should have never happened. Like it could have been avoided had these 4 individuals done the right thing, went to God, asked God, so God could have shut them down already and told them no, and then it would take them having the obedience to actually listen to God on top of that, right? Because when God tells you no, don't do something, you still have to have the obedience. Like, okay, God said don't do that, so I shouldn't do that, right? But I mean, it's just so screwed up. And even after it was done, there was still a way, and how I'm viewing it, right, to rectify and not have it get so messy, right? Had there been a way to have a communication before they started seeking revenge against the wrong people, right? Had there been a conversation or a understanding amongst us, like, okay, if they could have told us what happened to them, or if there was a way that we could have had communication, like, hey, like, who are you? Where you come from? What happened? And then we could figure things out, right? Because like I said, our ancestors had no clue who they were, where they came from, who created them, or what was going on, right? We're just living our lives, and then these people come, and then they're like, they're pissed off at us, and a lot of times we didn't even know they were pissed off at us. You know what I mean? And we and even if we did, we wouldn't know why. It's like, what we do? We didn't do anything to you. But they were holding animosity for people who look like us, who did do something to them, right? But yeah, I want to give that message, because I feel like that message can help. It can open the eyes. It can give people a deeper understanding and understanding of what actually happened, and what it meant, and what the animosity and anger comes from, right? Because for so long it just seemed to make no sense. It's like, for me anyway, it was just like, why would anyone want to just hurt people? Just to be like, why would that? Like, I couldn't wrap my freaking head around it, right? I used to cry as a child seeing all these slavery movies and hearing about the things that happened, and I'm just like, why would this even happen? Like, it just did not make sense to me. Um and now it's like putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and it's like now I can see why. And then it's just like I could see like how the anger was so fueled. I could see why they would be so angry. And it was like, it's like the anger took over so much that they weren't even really paying attention to what's in front of them. Like how I'm thinking about it now, because I'm in a calm mindset and I'm not angry, so I can see things that they probably missed, right? Because during the torture of us, had they took the time to really examine us, I think they would have come to the conclusion that we aren't them. We aren't the people who did it to them. Because first of all, if they would have been watching us long enough, they could have seen that we weren't even creating people like that. Like we, I mean, we created babies out of our vagina. And then two, they might not even knew how they were created. I have to think of that too. Right. Like, cause I'm how I'm picturing it. They was creating stuff like a laboratory. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like through different means. That's how I'm viewing it. And they got, I could be somewhat right, wrong, whatever, but it just, and then I don't know. It just seems to me that certain things, and then like if they would have seen our mannerisms, like how we acted, I'm pretty sure if they would have took the time to, if they weren't so angry, because the anger is what made them not really focus, right? They could see, okay, we can examine the situation, see, okay, well, they're not torturing each other, they're not like, hurting people, but then two, maybe it's because they look different. They feel like, okay, well, we look different, then they probably gonna do that to us because that's what they do, or you know what I mean. That's probably a mindset that could have come in, like, oh, they're good to each other, but not us. But still, without the anger that was there, and it was there for a reason. I'm not taking away from that. But had the anger been able to be subsided some way back then, it wouldn't have been a fucked up situation like it was. So let's not repeat the past, people. Like, I mean, and that's why, like, when I hear stories about like creatures being created, I like now, like how I'm seeing it is like that should not be. Don't just go around here creating creatures and you haven't even got the okay from the Most High, because you don't have any idea what you could be doing. You could be hurting yourself, hurting others, you know what I mean, and it could be all avoided, you know what I mean, all because of selfish, like negative selfish greed and wanting to have this false sense of negative power, and it's all fucked up. Okay. We as beings, we need to stay in our lane. You know what I'm saying? We need to stay in our lane. Stop trying to pretend like you are the Most High. Even if God gives you certain powers and gifts, use them correctly. Stop using that shit reckless, going out here doing stupid shit. Just because you feel like you can. You know what I mean? You fuck around and find yourself in a situation where you fucked yourself. Okay, because those four creatures or fallen angels, those four negative beings are now in very deep trouble, big trouble, okay, for their actions. All right, and there should be no innocent bloodshed because of the workings that they did, right? Because they are already paying for what they did. Trust and believe me when I say that. They are already paying for what they've done. On a very major scale, But anyways, yeah. So focus on DNA, deep cleansing of the DNA structures, to get rid of that resentment. Even if you don't understand where it comes from, still, you know what I mean? Like, Like, even when I get through with this, I'm gonna try to figure out a way to do a cleansing of resentments and things like that. Even though it's like, because sometimes the thing about the DNA, this stuff hides so well, you might not even recognize it within yourself. Just because you might be listening to this video and you might be like, I don't have any animosity against any white people or black people or any of that. But the thing about it, DNA codes and how it works, and sometimes things can get triggered out of what seems to be nowhere, right? Um, and you just, it's better to be, what I say, better be safe than sorry. Even if you don't feel like you've had any animosity towards anyone, or still, it would not hurt to do it. Because even if you don't, what if one of your offspring winds up, if you didn't like inherit that DNA activation of the resentment, who's to say they won't inherit it, right? But if you cleanse it out of you right now, you know what I mean? And your children, if you already have children, this is something that can be a family thing, you know, get that out of your DNA so the next generations won't have to experience that. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm gonna end the video here. I hope y'all got something good from that. Keep your head up. All right, continue to love yourself. And just stay strong and all the good stuff, man. I love y'all. All right, peace.